the question comes, and we think we know the answer. As a matter of fact, we will guarantee you that we know the answer. Do you think I have come to bring peace on earth? Our answer is, yes, Lord. That's exactly what we think you've done. That's exactly what we have been led to believe that the very manifestation of God's love will do. Bring us peace. And we heard one apostle said that it is a peace that surpasses all understanding. Do you think that I have come to bring peace on earth? Yes, Lord. We think that. We sing about it every Christmas season. The arrival of the promised one means peace on earth and good tidings to all people. And even to those people Jesus was talking to. Of course they expected peace. They expected peace because they had been dreaming of it for so long. Those who expected peace from Jesus had already only known the lies and propaganda of the pretenders of peace. The pretenders of peace, those religious leaders whose rules and sanctimony provided little peace for the faithful. And those political leaders whose violence and repression provided no peace at all. Oh, we expect peace. The so-called peace the empire provided was fleeting and unfair and unpredictable, and always came with more violence and repression. So when Jesus asked, do you think that I have come to bring peace? They said, yes, we want peace. And not only did they expect Jesus to bring peace, their very lives depended upon it. But Jesus answers them. Jesus answers his own question with a resounding no, no, no. I did not come to bring peace. I come to bring division. Oh, this is strange, isn't it? Jesus, that meek and mild one, that loving one, assuming the position of a disturber of the peace. Oh, and I love the way the Message paraphrase says it, because I think it gives us a little bit of a clearer sense of what Jesus is trying to say. Jesus said, the Message says, Jesus says, I've come to start a fire on this earth. And how I wish it were blazing right now. I've come to change everything. Turn everything right side up. How I long for it to be finished. Do you think I've come to smooth things over and make everything nice? Not so. I've come to disrupt and confront. Oh, I love it. Jesus is coming to disrupt and confront. And even the most stable institution for the well-being of those people and their understanding of their place in the world, the family, even the family, will not go unscathed. And you see, what do we mean? What does Jesus mean? What do you mean, Pastor? Well, Jesus is saying that I'm coming to bring a message that is going to disrupt everything. I'm coming to bring a message of unconditional love. And if I say love is unconditional, oh, it's going to disrupt the entire world. That means nobody can hold anything over you. Nobody can demand anything from you to get love. Nobody can stop you from being loved. And guess what? That's disruptive. And see, then in some families, this message of love, liberation, and inclusion, some family members will accept it. And then some family members won't be able to. Some people will be able to say, oh, I love everybody. And some people say, I can love only a few of you. Oh, that's disruption. That's a confrontation. The pastor, Rudy Rasmus, I've met many times, the pastor of a church, St. John's in Houston, Beyonce's pastor. Rudy Rasmus says, Jesus is a man of tender love and harsh words. Tender love and harsh words. You see, for those of us who don't understand what Jesus is talking about, I want to get a little bit deeper. Some of us get worried about these harsh sayings. For those of us who've experienced a rift in our families, for those who are estranged from their families, The reading may feel like salt in the wounds of family conflict and breakdown. But I want to assure you that this is not about Jesus' rejection of the love and bonds of family. This is not about Jesus not believing in the rich blessing that family can be, especially in a time of coldness and separation. But what I think Jesus is doing is choosing the dramatic example of the family to highlight how divisive and disruptive love will be. Jesus is showing us how divisive and disruptive seeking justice is going to be. How divisive and disruptive serving the weak is going to be. I don't think you heard what I'm saying. I'm going to keep going, though. It's going to be divisive and disruptive to embrace the stranger. It's going to be divisive and disruptive to usher in the reign of God, where you say everybody is included. That's a disruptive confrontation. Let me break it down a little bit further. I don't want LGBTQ people sitting in my pews or being preachers, but in this church they are allowing it over there. It's disruptive. It is disruptive when you said all God's children can participate in the ministry of love, inclusion, and liberation. That is a divisive message. Oh, I mean, break it down a little bit further. It is disruptive when you say the Muslim is my sister and my brother. And a lot of people assumed it. It will be a mistake to assume that when Jesus came preaching love and liberation and inclusion that the world won't change. It would be naive to assume that Jesus can talk about forgiving the debts of God's people and think that it's going to be that I get to keep all the money. I know it. I know it for myself. And now I'm messed up because I can't help but love you. I'm messed up because I love you. I'm so deeply in love with God's people. If we take Jesus' gospel seriously, if we take seriously our call as learners and followers of Jesus, if we really mean to be all God's children for all God's children, then we find ourselves at a crossroads. We face a decision point. We face that moment of truth. If we're going to live by these core values of inclusion and community and spiritual transformation and social action, we are going to be both disrupted and disruptive. People are going to get mad at us. People are going to say we ought to stop doing all that loving on people. People are going to say we ought to stop including anybody who walks through the door. They're going to tell us it's the wrong way. You even have whole magazines said, the reason the church isn't growing is because they just accept anybody. Is that your theory? That the reign of God is having trouble because it's accepting all God's children. That's your theory? Oh my goodness. Let me say it again because you're probably going to hear it again. The reason that the church isn't growing is because you all are accepting anybody who shows up. Oh my God, I remember a peasant preacher who walked up to people who were kicked out, thrown out, discounted and said, I love you and you are included. I'm sorry, I'm a little bit excited because guess what? I'm grateful. I'm grateful that Jesus did not come to reinforce the status quo. I'm grateful that Jesus did not show up and immediately sit at Caesar's palace and say, you're doing a good job. I'm grateful that Jesus did not set up court with all the people who had everything they needed and then forgot the people who didn't have anything. I'm grateful that Jesus was a disturber of the peace, and I'm grateful that Jesus was one of tender love and a man of harsh words. I'm grateful that I don't have to follow a gospel that says that only a certain amount of people can get the good, that there is a scarcity and only the people who are connected can have it all. I'm glad I don't follow a gospel that way. And you see, I'm also glad and grateful that when Jesus said it, that I did not come to bring peace, I bring division. Jesus knew something that even the people who were following him did not know. That we have to be prepared for the new thing that God is doing. God is not stopping the march toward the consummation. God is not stopping the march toward the victory. God is determined to see that justice gets done. And since God is doing that, I want to be on that bandwagon. I want to be a part of that gospel that says that everybody is created in the image of God. And that when God created, God did not make any mistakes. That God knew exactly what God was doing when God breathed the very essence of life into creation. That God said it, I knew, and that Jesus knew. Oh, you may look all around you. You may know everything you think you know. You may bask in the glory of your success. You may even be on top today. But in the end, God's got work to do. And that work is going to include all God's children, no matter who they are. That's the gospel I'm proud of. And that's the gospel I want to follow. Oh, Jesus is not good news for those who want to keep things the way they are. Jesus is not good news if you think that the way the world is divided up is good. Jesus is not good news for anybody who wants to exclude somebody. Jesus is not good news for anybody who thinks that the present arrangements of the world work well. Jesus is not good news for anybody who just doesn't want to love. Not good news at all. One commentator said, we are happier with Jesus as peacemaker than as homebreaker. I know it feels good to sing with the heavenly chorus, peace on earth, good tidings to all people. We sing that very well. But in our embrace of Jesus, we must come to understand that Jesus had no patience for the arrangements of the world, the political, religious, and even familial arrangements that made sure that there were people who were hurting, that made it show that people were suffering, that made it so that people were discounted and outcast. He had no patience for it. And so we have to stand in the light. We have to stand in the light. We have to be the light. Our mission statement is, our mission is to be a beacon of hope, reflecting God's unconditional love to all people. Let me tell you something about a beacon. A beacon is a light or signal that everybody can see. And the beacon or the operator of the beacon can't decide, look, I want just these folk over here. So let me fix my beacon so I can just get who I want in here. Oh no. If a beacon does that, it is not a beacon. It is a signal to his or her friends. But we say we want to be a beacon. You can't hide the signal. As long as that signal, as long as that light of love is shining out there, somebody's going to see it. And they're going to come. And the question for us is, can we receive them? Oh, let's be disturbers of the peace. The peace that says that things must be unequal or that everything is scarce. And let's be people of tender love like Jesus, who embrace all God's children no matter who they are and from where they come. And if we do that, we can truly embody and claim ourselves to be all God's children. Amen.